Hello, I'm PX and welcome back to the Minecraft Update Aquatic video. Today I wanted to give you a rant and a little bit of a secret feature guide for the kelp in Minecraft. And I know what you're thinking, Toycat, you must need some kelp if you think this is a good video idea. But no, today I wanted to talk about this block because it seems as though, at least on the surface, or rather below the surface, it's one of the items which they added to Minecraft for no discernible reason. They just added it because they wanted to have some more underground plant life, and I guess it's animated and looks kind of nice, but it doesn't really add any value. And then when you really look into it more, it has even less value, and that's why I wanted to rant about a little bit. However, it's worth noting that when you really look into its uses, there's technically one that is worthwhile maybe for some people, and also it's worth noting that there is a secret feature to kelp that is really valuable. It's so valuable that I think they actually did it by mistake, but regardless, if it's here to stay, I wanted to talk about it, and hopefully you all do enjoy. Make sure you like this video if you do like kelp, because that's a good thing you can do. Also, make sure you like this video if you dislike kelp, and if you have no strong feelings one way or the other, make sure you like the video to let me know about that feeling too. So with that said, let's get straight into the very first thing about kelp, because kelp is found in particular oceans around Minecraft's perimeter. Obviously, cold oceans give you a higher chance of it, but you find kelp pretty much everywhere, particularly in the console edition. You'll find a lot of it in big stalks like this in big areas. So all you got to do is you harvest it, and then you get yourself the kelp item. We're all familiar with this much so far, right? Everyone knows that. However, the weird thing about kelp is that once you get the kelp item, or you get 46 of the kelp item, the real use for it is that you can plant it back down and you can put kelp elsewhere in the ocean. That's right, this is the only official real use for kelp besides the secret, and it's super strange because, do you want to move kelp from one place to another? Probably not really. And do you want to have kelp randomly in the oceans? Maybe. I think it looks kind of good, maybe alongside some seagrass. You can make an okay underwater garden, but most people don't want underwater gardens, so what's the actual use for kelp besides this? Well, you can fire it up into a furnace. So if you put kelp into a furnace, as well as wasting your coal at, obviously the normal rate, you're going to get 8 dried kelp for every 8 kelp you put in, 1-to-1 ratio. And the reason that this is a weird thing, 'cause you might say, oh, that's great, look, dried kelp, that is a brand new item, that's amazing, is because dried kelp is the worst food in Minecraft they've ever added. I'm not even being hyperbolic with that one. This is the worst food they've ever added, and it's so bad that if you take any damage, the amount of kelp you need to restore one, half heart is about 3 kelp, to actually get the things rolling. It's really absurd, and it means that, actually, let me show you, by the way, it's half a heart of hunger, and although you eat it faster than any other food, which I appreciate as a unique gesture, as a food, this is just one of the weirdest things they've ever added to Minecraft, because if you're desperate, if you're so hungry that you need to, get some kelp, you need to cook it up, why not just kill fish? Even raw fish is way better than kelp. Even, but if you're gonna cook it up anyway, we're using a furnace, like you have to get dried kelp. There's no way to eat that raw. Then you're gonna get the least value from it anyway. You need serious amounts of kelp before it's worth anything. And let's be honest, the amount of time it takes is just not worth it. This whole time I've got myself about 5 kelp, which is barely. I haven't even got myself up to the level where I'll start healing myself up, and it's just horrendous. Also, if we sprint, it has the lowest, basically none saturation value. It's really ridiculous, because you sprint for the tiniest bit, and again, when you eat like a steak or a fish or something, your hunger bar will last for quite some time. If you start running when you got kelp in the system, you'll see very quickly, I'm going to quickly prove the point, that your hunger is going to go right back down, because it just does not last. The saturation value is not great, because kelp is just not a good food. So with that said, that's the main use for kelp. However, if you get 9 kelp together, a thing you can do that you might be aware of is you can make the kelp block. The kelp block is made from 9 of these, and the reason the kelp block is interesting is because although, again, this is the use for kelp that you're meant to be using it for, you can take 9 dried kelp, you can make a kelp block, which you might value in your world. However, this is one of the ugliest blocks, and this is why I want to make my rant about kelp, because kelp is a block which exists in the oceans, doesn't look great there, and is kind of annoying, honestly, because it spawns in patches. You can then use all of your coal, your valuable stuff, smelt it up at a very slow rate, and then you get the worst food. Or you can turn it into a very ugly block, and that's what kelp's official use is. It's terrible. I don't get why it needs to exist in the game, given those are the circumstances. However, let me give you a little bit of the kind of guide to why it does need to exist. So first of all is the fact that the kelp block is the most dense food you can get in the game. That's right, unlike the rabbit stew, which is the best food, but it restores a whole 5 hunger bars. However, you only get 1 per stack. The dried kelp block can be used to have 64 dried kelp blocks and still only use 2 stacks, 1 for the block and 1 for the food, which means that, using just 2 stacks, you can get yourself, 9 times 64, doing the maths on top of my head, 540 something something, or 560, 570 something, you get a lot of kelp just from one stack. You can just continuously go right over here, turn it into kelp, then you can eat the kelp at ridiculous rates because it is a little bit faster. And then, yeah, basically, kelp is the best thing if you want to eat a lot of food. You're going to be going away from home for a very, very long time, and you want to only bring 2 or 3 stacks of items, because if you bring 2 stacks, that's over 1,000 individual bits of food, and yeah, that makes it the most dense food in the game, technically speaking, denser than steak, but still, I would take steak personally, but still, it's worth keeping in mind that this is the best dense food in the game, so it does add some value. It's just not a value that, if we're being honest, most people care about. Most people would rather just bring a good food with them, but if that's not you, if you think to yourself, I want a nice cheap food that I can take with me, then kelp is the thing for you. However, the secret feature about kelp, the thing that I really like for, we're actually going to have to go unsmart some files, is the fact that it has a really weird purpose in terms of the aquatic update. So the aquatic update changed how water functions, basically. If you have a water source block, you can place anything in that water source block. It's so that, you can have like a door, you have trapdoor, you can have like anything like that, besides like torches, redstone torches, and a few other things like that. But yeah, you can have things exist in the same block as water. However, interestingly enough, so this means that water flowing blocks are not as valuable. As you can see, this water flowing block right here is just no good to anyone. If you want to place some kelp in there, you can't do it. It's a real problem. However, an interesting kind of, I don't want to call it a glitch necessarily, but maybe a secret feature on purpose or an accident using the Minecraft engine, is the fact that if you place a block like, if you do this, so it flows into a hole, this bit down here actually does not exist as a source block. It's just a flowing water flowing downwards, and that should be obvious, right? So then when you get rid of the red sand, or when you place that back, as you can see, it dries up. However, if we do the exact same thing, again, exactly the same there as we did here, but we place kelp in the hole, kelp turns a flowing water block into a source block. That's right, I don't understand the magic behind kelp, the lore reason behind it, but kelp can magically turn blocks into source blocks, meaning we do the same thing, and now there is water in there. The uses for this are kind of few and far between, but I really like that as a potential use. I like that, kelp is a block which exists to be kind of a weird oceanographic thing. Like, Notch predicted, 9 years ago now, that there would be seaweed in the game one day, and here it is in the game, and I kind of like seeing it, even if necessarily it just means that, like, okay, so there is seaweed, it exists, it's a thing that you can then turn into a terrible food, which you don't want, and then turn into a block, which you probably also don't want, which turns back into that food, so that's nice. That's kind of like a side note to me. The fact that it can be used in this secret way, the fact that it can turn regular blocks into source blocks, is a really powerful feature of the updated Aquatic, because there are so many cases where you're going to want to do that, where you're going to want to keep your block in a source block of water, because now we remove the kelp, and guess what? We've kept our kelp, and we can put something in that water if we want to do it. What do we want to put in that water? I don't know, like a sign or something. Let's put a sign in there saying yay for kelp. I'm not going to do that. We'll just write kelp, because I'm too lazy. But yeah, the fact that you can do this in this update is the redeeming feature, in my opinion, of kelp. But the fact that kelp does have a use in the game at all is honestly magical to me, because one of the biggest criticisms of this update is that it has so many useless features, and looking at the mobs, you can kind of agree. Look at this dolphin right here. What is his value in the world? I mean, he might make you swim faster, maybe. What is the value of the turtle in this update? I mean, it makes the turtle helmet, actually, but what is the value of some of the different things? And it's always a very limited use thing. And particularly if you're playing Minecraft a lot, most of these things don't come up, but I love the features like this because they can be used in more complex ways. That's what makes Minecraft beautiful, the fact that you can take a feature and do something else with it. Dolphins, I mean, what can you do? You can put a dolphin in your water tank and hope they follow you, but no, they're their own monster. They're dolphins. You don't want to capture a dolphin. However, taking a feature like this allows you to expand your creativity in survival or in creative, and that's what I love. I think we need more things like this, and every single feature they add to Minecraft, they need to add tiny things like this to it. The dolphin should have some weird niche functionality. The seagrass, which is currently just used to feed turtles, there should be some similar weird functionality for that, and that's all I'm saying right with today's video, is that yeah, I like weird little bits of functionality, and I wanted to just let you know that the kelp is the worst block in Minecraft, but they redeemed it a little bit, and they need to do this with every useless block. The llama, I love the llama, and it has that weird kind of niche thing that some people can use, and but if you don't know about that, it seems useless. We need to make these niche things exist with every single item, so that just because something seems useless on the surface, it doesn't mean it doesn't have a use. The lily pad seems useless, but it's one of the thinnest blocks in the game. It's something like 1/64 of a block wide, I want to say. Really, really cool thing, especially with the swimming update or whatever. I think we need to do this with every single item, add some weird niche properties so that you can do more of it, and that's my little Minecraft rant about kelp and about secrets. I hope you did enjoy the video. Like if you did like it, share if you liked it, subscribe if you're around here, turn on those notifications if you want to see more videos like this one, and yeah, it's been a week of the Aquatic on console. I'm enjoying it. I was going to make a review, but if you want to see my review right now, 2 thumbs up, I guess. Liking it a lot, and I think it's one of the best updates they've released in a long time for console and for PS4, yeah, one of the best updates just in general. I like the Aquatic update, contrary to popular opinion, and I just wanted to say that out right now, because that's a thing that I believe in.